Hi there. Welcome back. I'm here to do a layout for us. I was thinking about a tetractys spread. Just desiring to get a general reading for folks today. Sorry, my little seat here that I sit on is a little bit awkward to move around. So let's see here. I'm setting the intention for a general tetractys layout for folks. What's important for you to know right now about something that you're working on, maybe a inner work that you're working on in terms of healing, or a desire you're trying to bring into being, or a project you're working on. Like, what's something that would be helpful for you to know at this time regarding a goal or a manifestation or a dream or a project? And it can be in any area of life. Sending out love to you and good vibes and well wishes. I hope you're doing well out there and feeling like you can cope with everything that's happening in the world, personally and globally. And my cat's very intrigued all of a sudden with this activity. I hear ya. What would be useful for you to know as you work towards something, or as the intentions that you're setting, like how might you work with them? Nine of Cups, so that's a nice sign here at the bottom of the deck. Joyful, loving. Oops. Wow, super interesting. I love cards. I know I say that a lot, but I really do. So this is a very intriguing layout. And the first thing I notice is the foundation that you're working from. These cards, all four, are minor arcana cards. And as the energy works exponentially towards your, or maybe reverse exponentially, I guess, whatever that word would be, towards your desires, as things are going in that direction, there's more and more major arcana at the top. So that's really cool and interesting and worth noting. Usually when you have a lot of minor arcana cards, it means that things are not, you have more power possibly to kind of shift the energy. If you're unsatisfied or unsettled with the energies that are present here, which we're going to get into, you have it within your power typically to shift things. And that's what we're talking about here, is something that you're working on growing or developing. So let's get into it and see what's going on here. In the first card, which is basically the cornerstone representing you, and the cornerstone of this question that I'm asking about a project, is the Seven of Wands. So something about this project is involving taking a stand for you about something, whether that's I'm taking a stand for my own joy, and instead of working this soul grinding job, I'm going to leave and do a new project, or I need to get serious about what I feel I can do to help the people of Palestine. I'm going to see about going overseas as a nurse to see if I can help. It can be anything like that, but it's about taking a stand and about standing your ground around something that's important to you. And here it's involving a project or something that you're trying to get going for yourself. It involves really engaging your fire element. And often we need that fire element to make a stand about something important. That's where one of those times where something like anger gets such a bad rep. And it's like, yeah, but anger is so catalytic. It catalyzes us to do, for whatever reason, I'm feeling like I want to put my bracelet on. Sorry, I got distracted by that feeling. Anger can be catalyzing for us to change course in a way that we may need desperately. And anger is shaking us, almost saying, wake up, something needs to shift. And so you've been utilizing that kind of passionate, fiery energy about taking a stand to get yourself going on this project, whatever it is. You feel and know that you have a lot of choices about what direction you can go in taking this stand. So again, I can think of a lot of ways that would apply. Like, do I want to take a stand in my home? Because by taking a stand in my relationship, I'm modeling something good for my kids. Up to, I'm going to take a stand at work, because if I don't, nobody's going to, and we're going to continue to get fucked with, right, by management or whatever. And so you are recognizing that there are a lot of ways that you can engage the energy that you have around taking a stand to get things moving and to initiate this project for yourself. You're in a decision-making period about which way do I want to go? Do I want to go global? Do I want to stay personal? Do I want to see how far I can take this? Like, what are my ambitions? You're kind of sorting that out right now. And you have a lot of choices. And you're conscious of that, and you're weighing out the choices. And then what's a sure fact here, which is really wonderful to see, is the Six of Wands. So this project, by engaging in this, you're succeeding. And I don't know if you realize that or not. I'm hoping that this reaches whoever it's for. You're succeeding. The Six of Wands is a victorious card. And I've personally been seeing it a lot in readings lately, for my own readings, for readings that I'm doing for other people. It's a victorious, happy fire element card. So it's and it's in close relationship with the Seven of Wands, right? So engaging something that you're taking a stand for yourself or for others or both, is bringing you to a victory. And you're conscious of the fact that you have a lot of different ideas and ways that you could take this change that you're making. Your vulnerability is that you might be kind of tired from doing the work. You might have already been in this change process for a while now, or making this project, initiating this new change for yourself. And it's the Eight of Pentacles. So it's sometimes what's required if you're going to make a whole new start. Starting at the beginning is not for the faint of heart, especially if you're really established in the current order. You know, deciding I'm going to shake up everything from the ground up is not an easy choice to make, even if you know that ultimately it's going to be for your good. There's still vulnerability that you feel here right now towards fatigue and towards wondering, like, how it might be, like, how much longer, like, how long am I going to have to work at this before I start reaping the rewards of this change or this project? It's something that you're struggling with a little bit. Wondering about or doubting maybe how long it's going to take you to make this a reality. And then at the very heart of things is an echo of that feeling, which is the Knight of Pentacles. So you're very reliable, and you've been moving in a methodical way, in a stable way. And sometimes that's a little bit in conflict with this catalytic energy that you're feeling about, fire elements, take a stand, success, yay. Like, that's a really engaged, active energy. And the Knight of Pentacles is too, but he's not very flashy. He's very slow and steady wins the race. Like, I need to keep up my reserves and pace myself. I can't be shooting my load everywhere, right? Like, I have to conserve my energy and move at a managed pace. He's often, the way I have felt about the Knight of Pentacles in readings is that he's kind of unglamorous, or not necessarily valued for his steady, behind the scenes, not very flashy kind of work like the rest of the knights are. Knights are kind of known and valued for their bold courage and their willingness to work from their heart and be passionate and active and go into war and be in combat and protect their people they're there to protect, kind of thing. And the Knight of Pentacles is a little bit less flashy than that. He's still a knight, though. He still has to engage that courage, and he's a warrior, but he's much more methodical, right? And so what's coming through actually, and it's interesting because I've been thinking about this lately and wondering if it was going to come through in a reading, and suspecting it might, because sometimes I've noticed my own story comes up to illustrate a point that the tarot's kind of trying to get across. And that's some of the value of storytelling, right? Is that you can often find meaning in someone else's story for yourself. And in this case, my archetype of the Knight of Pentacles within me, I've always had it. I've always been a fairly diligent worker. I'm from mostly German, like bloodlines, basically Germanic. And there's, as the world kind of knows, it's a stereotype for the German work ethic that can border on pathological. Like hard work is the only value. And at times it can feel like that in German culture, which is a little bit twisted, or can feel twisted. But I inherited a really strong work ethic. My dad was a workaholic. He really instilled in me a vulnerability for workaholism, or that's where my worth comes from, how hard I'm willing to work and grind every day, even if I'm not getting paid, even if I'm not, like his value was in the work itself, he always felt. So in working, I've done a lot of succeeding in my life working, but one thing that's been a challenge for me, and maybe for other people, is that you may not feel recognized for your work, or you may feel unseen in the skill that you have. Like a knight is a skillful warrior. He's not fucking around. If you mess with a knight, you fuck around and find out. That's how it is dealing with an energy like this. But the sense that I'm having is that because this is a Knight of Pentacles, people underestimate him because he's not flashy. He's not putting himself on blast. He's not going and selling himself to the boss and selling himself to other people. He just quietly does his work, basically. And it can feel very frustrating, and it was for me personally, maybe because I am a fiery person. I'm a Leo and I have a Scorpio rising, so that's also kind of a temperamental presentation at times. I can be told I can be hard to read and a little bit intimidating because of that, because they can't read I'm not always warm with people. I'm careful about what I reveal, I think. And to me, it's always, I feel like I'm kind of stumbling around trying to find the words here. Sorry. To me, that's always been a little bit of something I've struggled with, being in conflict with feeling unrecognized for the quality of my work, or unseen. And part of it too is because I have this kind of teenagery way about me, so that I don't come across as someone with knowledge and authority at times. I come across as somebody who's not very serious and who just parties and who, doesn't take, but I am serious. I have a master's degree. I'm there's things about me that don't come through a lot. And so I've struggled to feel recognized and seen. And in the last, I would say 3 years, it's like I had this radical awakening about what an advantage that is. That is a huge advantage, like in the game of life or whatever, the 3D world. It's a big advantage to be taken for granted, or not taken for granted, but I just said it, like not seen for your work, like underestimated. That's the word, being underestimated. I have experienced being underestimated for a lot of my life, academically, cognitively, cerebrally, right? Like just people think I don't know what I'm talking about, or I come across as maybe a little bit of a ditz. Well, I'm not a ditz. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And so in the last few years, I've realized being under the radar and not being seen and being underestimated, I can quietly build empire and nobody knows and nobody sees it. Nobody would ever suspect. And by building empire, I don't mean in the gross. I just use that as a turn of phrase, right? Like building my own personal power, building my plans and dreams behind the scenes, not putting everything on blast, not sharing it with everyone, keeping my power to myself. I'm so glad I've finally seen what an advantage it is, because I spent a lot of time kind of fighting against it. And it is, at times, gets in your way. If you're not seen as someone with knowledge, then often you're not respected. And I would like to feel respected, right? So there's definitely a dark side to that feeling. But I feel like I'm going way off on this tangent to emphasize to you, if you've been feeling frustrated or unseen, to turn that on its ear and recognize what an advantage it is to you, that you can move in silence right now and not attract attention while you quietly build your power, and in the way that is going to blow people's minds when they see the evidence of it. So it's an advantage. I went on and on there. So now yes, oh my God, okay. Without even reading this card, I went on that kind of tangent or pathway of that theme. And then right beyond it is your strength, which is the 5 of Pentacles. So you may be being perceived as someone who doesn't have much, or who's on the outside, who's not in on the cutting edge. You know, you are being potentially perceived as someone with not that much going on, or not necessarily somebody to be watched. And it's your advantage, though. It's showing up here as a strength. It is working to your advantage to not be seen and recognized now for what you're doing. So take that in, embrace it, and recognize it as protection and as a way to keep your power to yourself and not scatter your energy. Really cool. I love how it's coming out. And now here we step into the major arcana energy. So the voice of your devil, the voice of your shadow, is advising you to be approaching, allow justice to take place. Like any desire you have to be vindicated, any desire you have to feel seen, and that you've maybe carried this resentment for not being seen and recognized for your strengths and your badassery and everything you bring into the world and into the lives of those around you. Your shadow side is rooting for vindication. It's wanting you to receive justice, for an acknowledgement and recognition for what you are capable of. So your shadow's a little bit preoccupied with that, with wanting this, but it's an energy that you can utilize to your advantage here. And it's not necessary, it's a powerful energy coming from your shadow. So the best way you can work with it is to know it and to use that desire for vindication to keep turning it over to something bigger and keep quietly doing your work. Bide your time, almost. I just heard that. Like, just bide your time right now. And it's okay. Use this desire for vindication as fuel while you bide your time and continue to fly under the radar somewhat. Not very flashy in your moves, but the knight is still a knight. He's building in a really badass way. It's just in a stealth kind of way almost that gets overlooked, underestimated. You want vindication for that. And then in your conscious mind, you know you're succeeding, and it's so there's this tension of wanting your victory to be seen. Like the chariot is often ridden in a victory parade. I'm thinking of the classical Roman image of the chariot where Caesar rides through Rome on his chariots in a celebratory way. You want to be acknowledged. You're conscious of that because you know you're succeeding. So you're like, well, I want to be recognized for what I'm doing because I know I'm doing good work. I know the things I'm creating are powerful. I know the truths I'm speaking are important for this community I'm in or whatever. You know that. And so that it's tense. You want to be vindicated. You want to be seen. Your light and dark side are kind of working together, harnessing this powerful energy. It's an energy that's almost coming through you that's like every person's desire to be vindicated. Everyone who's ever been wronged or betrayed or overlooked or underestimated. It's almost like that kind of universal archetypal energy is channeling through you right now in this project that you're creating in a way that's really driving it forward in the successful way that's kind of beyond you a little bit. You can just channel it at this point. You definitely don't want to be trying to suppress it. You want to be honoring the fact that it sucks not to be seen and recognized. You would like to be vindicated. You're trying to trust the world to bring that to you and not feel like you have to force everything. But you can't deny to yourself that you want to be seen and recognized, and that's okay. Of course, we all want to be seen and affirmed for what we do and what we bring and feel appreciated and acknowledged. And then where it's heading is the Fool. So your new beginning is coming. It doesn't reveal a lot about what that is, but your new start is here. You're bringing yourself right to your new start. The new start might have you feeling a little bit vulnerable and naive and doubtful at times, possibly. It's not showing up so much here, but you are going to be a little bit naive going into this brand new start. So the advice around this I'm feeling is to maintain your humility. The Fool needs to recognize his naivety, and that's a challenge for him. He's a little bit of teenager energy, like invincible, that teenager feeling that nothing can get him. That's why he has the courage to go out on his journey. It's where the Knight gets the courage when they start as a warrior young in life, right? Like this is, but there's folly in the beginning. You're vulnerable to it. So anyways, what a cool reading. I'm going to get a little bit more here. Just see if we can find out anything about the project itself. What does this have to do with? It's a really nice layout on its own. That's one thing that I love about the Tetractys spread, is that it captures so much. It captures a lot in a way that feels very complete by the time you're at the outcome position. And I think it's partly the design and the mathematics that are involved in a Tetractys. I don't experience this layout as having a lot of open-ended questions often, or confusion. What else is important to know about this project? Any details about the project? What are the project, or what is it around? Something to do with a conviction you hold. What is that? The Hermit. The Nine of Cups. That was at the bottom of the deck. The Nine of Cups. Here twice now. What's important for you to know about this is clarifier about what is the project. It's not so much, well, excuse me, a little bit. So you've really gone within, you've really followed your inner light around this project. And that takes a lot of courage as well, because not listening to the crowd, not going with everybody else, not following along with whoever and whatever is saying, speaking the loudest kind of thing. By following your own inner light, this is what is going to create this empowered new start for you. You have recognized your strength is in following your intuition. It's often a lonely road, though. People don't get it. They may not understand what you're doing or trying to put together. They may think that you're just chasing illusions or something, right? But you following your own inner light and working on trusting it and standing up for yourself and your vision. It's going to bring you the Nine of Cups, and you know that. It's been a big motivation, your own joy, right? Which is healthy. You don't want to be working anymore without that joy. You need it to keep going, and you've recognized that a long time ago. That's involved here in the choices that you're making, and you're doing it and you're succeeding. It's what you're desiring is the Four of Wands, a completion into this new experience of a more solid foundation, a more secure, joyful, abundant future that's stable, that's grounded. And you want some vindication here. You might have gone through some really difficult times, or you might have been somewhat forced. The universe might have forced your hand initially into making these changes. Or you may have had to walk through fire, experience like persecution and betrayal, like we talked about, like maybe just anything, a betrayal. We've all experienced the feeling of like, God, I thought I could trust you and I feel totally betrayed and it's thrown me off and I don't know who and what I can trust anymore now that this has happened. So you've come through the worst of those things a while back, but you would still like to feel it's been put to right, or that you've been vindicated in some way. And that energy is okay. Just like it is for lots of people experiencing injustice. It's fire that fuels you to make the changes that you need to make. So I think that's very complete now. I'm just going to pull one of these oracle cards. I haven't pulled one of these in a while. They're kind of powerful. The writing behind them, sometimes it's a little much for me. But let's do it and see what comes out here. Any parting oracle messages for this layout here? This is very beautiful. I'm excited for you. You're definitely succeeding and your power is growing towards these changes. A lot of times, if you're a spiritual person, it can be a hard life lesson to let, like they'll say, I'm not necessarily referring to the Christian God, I'm just using God as a placeholder word here, but like, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, right? Like, your desire for vindication can really get people in trouble, which is why often spiritual teachers will instruct people, don't seek vengeance yourself, trust the universe or karma or your higher power to right wrongs for you. And I have the sense here that that's been challenging, that you've been tempted at times to seek your own justice because you've worried that it's not going to happen, or that you're not going to ever feel seen or vindicated for what happened to you. And so let's just see here. You might have more than once decided, I'm going to turn it over to God and I'm not going to go out and, you know, try to beat this person's ass or whatever kind of vengeance you might take, right? Vengeance looks very different for different people. So what's a final message here about this new start? Perspective. It's card number 39. A calm and clear mind is free to see differently. And we talked about looking at that being unseen or being underestimated as like a secret strength. Like poker, keeping a poker face, right? Not revealing. Playing poker is not, or chess is a long game. It's about knowing what to keep to yourself. You don't just blast out there like, fuck, check this hand out, or dude, you're not, people playing chess and poker are often not trash talking, or if they are, it's a bluff, it's a calculated. So that's something that came through. The mind is clear to see differently with that understanding here. How can you use that to your advantage? Our emotions are all about perspective. This is why we often hear a lot of caution around our emotions' potential to lead us astray, like a desire for vengeance. Our thoughts and feelings inform our experience of a situation. Our attitude influences our predisposition to certain thoughts and feelings, and often thwarts our capacity to perceive with a calm and clear mind. We cannot possibly have absolute objectivity or encompass all the different perspectives one situation can be seen from. I think which is partly why people are fairly consistently advised by spiritual teachers not to seek vengeance, right? That's not always the case. I mean, witchcraft involves revenge, right? Which is often poor people seeking justice in the only way they knew how. So I don't want to knock it, but I understand the bigger perspective of how vulnerable people are when they get into that, feeling justified to take their revenge when we really aren't capable of having the bird's eye view most of the time. However, when the distorting filter of our attitude or immature thoughts and emotions is removed, a broader spectrum of how things can be seen becomes available to us. Furthermore, when we open ourselves to perceiving a situation from other points of view, we become available to having alternative experiences going forward. We may have a negative attitude towards the gym and avoid it, while others hate to miss a day. However, instead of continuing to assume that we do not like the gym, should we try it out in curiosity of why others go, we might come to see it differently. We may even feel that we love the way it makes us feel. What was our trash or aversion becomes our treasure or attraction. This is really coming together with that whole perspective shift on feeling unrecognized and unseen. Whoop, turning it on its head, like boom, it's one of your greatest assets because you can move without anybody catching on to what you're doing. Our life would significantly change from this shift in perception, and let it be emphasized that only a shift in perception has occurred. The gym has not changed, only our attitude, perception, emotions, and actions around it have. Consequently, so too has our reality, body, and life. Let's say that you are afraid of drowning in water and that you are unable to see it, and that you are unable to see is at a high neck. What? I can't even read the sentence. Let us say that you are afraid of drowning in water that you are unable to see is at a neck-high level. Instead of splashing about in fear, You could question the fear to find ways of seeing your situation differently, or in this particular circumstance more realistically. You might ask yourself, am I really in danger of drowning? Or is my fear of drowning clouding what I am seeing to be real with what I am feeling to be real? How would I perceive this if I did not have such strong emotions around it? And is this as deep as I think? How would right now be for me if I was a confident swimmer instead of someone who just knows how to swim? What if I stopped kicking my legs and pushed them down to see if my feet touched the floor? There's tremendous power in separating ourselves from the emotion and negative thinking towards whatever we are confronted with. Nothing is what it seems when heightened emotions and manic thoughts are involved. This is why we really do create our own reality. We just often unintentionally create it in ways that do not best serve us. Seeing from a state of calm and a clear mind opens us up to a broader perspective, closer to that of our spirit self. When a shift in our ability to perceive differently becomes available to us, we can identify a way out, an alternative, or a solution. So in times of distress, try to remember to ask yourself, is it possible to see this in another way, in a way that empowers me? So I think this is great. If by letting go of any desire to seek justice or vengeance and just focusing on your own personal power moving forward, and by embracing your invisibility right now as an asset and what's enabling you to further grow your power for your personal shifts that you're making, it's all going to open up for you. And that feeling that I used to have about feeling frustrated that I wasn't being seen or not recognized or whatever, I wasted a lot of energy in that perspective. And it's very valid. We all have felt that way. Those feelings are valid and understandable, but I had major shifts happen for me when I recognized that I wasn't looking at it from a complete place or complete picture, what an advantage it can be. So I hope this is helpful. I feel like I really talked that concept to death, but it's been very meaningful for me to make this realization, and I hope it can be for you too. And I'm sending you love and respect. Thank you for liking and subscribing to my channel, and especially for commenting. I've noticed when people make a comment, my viewings of my videos go up quite a bit. Just even one comment makes a big difference. And I do have a goal to grow this channel. I'm okay with it never becoming a viral, huge sensation, but I would like to grow it because I enjoy it, and that's like an energy exchange of affirmation for both me and for the viewer. So thank you so much. I appreciate you for being here, and take good care. We've got a full moon coming up, so I hope to come back with a full moon reading also.